Good morning, UUSS. If you would rise in body or spirit and join in singing, "The Tide is Rising." The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The land is holy, and so are we. The land is holy, and so are we. The land is holy, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The storm is raging, and so are we. The storm is raging, and so are we. The storm is raging, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The sun is shining, and so are we. The sun is shining, and so are we. The sun is shining, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be.
This is where we are called to be. I'm so glad you're here. Good morning. Welcome to our Sunday service. Whether you're here with us online or in person, we are glad that you are here. We are stronger in community. My iPad is talking back to me. The mission of this congregation says, and if you know it, say it with me, we come together to deepen our lives and be a force for healing in the world. We invite you to join with us in ways that we strive to live this mission in our world. I'm Lucy Bunch, one of the ministers of this congregation, along with the Reverend Dr. Roger Jones. Roger will be back next week. He is at our General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist Association in Baltimore. Today is our annual question box service, where you will have a chance to ask me questions, and I have a chance to ask you some questions as well. I know some of you are bursting with questions. So hold those, and there'll be a time later on when you can write them down and put them in a basket in the back. And then Jenny will be picking some for me to answer for you today. Those of you online, we're having a problem posting things, so you're not going to be able to have access to the order of service this morning, but I'm sure that you will enjoy the service as it unfolds. If you're new to us, please fill out a newcomer card, whether online with the link in the chat box or at the welcome table, so we can connect with you and you can get our summer message, which comes out every 2 weeks during the summer. Every second Sunday after the service, we offer a newcomer orientation and tour. So mark your calendars to join us for that next month. And the blue sheet will tell you everything that's going on. Today, after the service, and every fourth Sunday, we offer a class called Exploring Unitarian Universalism. And I'll be leading that class today, and the topic is UU History and Theology. The class is designed for people that are new to Unitarian Universalism, but everyone is welcome. And now let's please all check our cell phones and other noisemakers to make sure that they're in silent mode and that all your alarms are off so that we can be present in the service. Now let us enjoy our music for centering.
Good morning. Our chalice lighter this morning is Fletcher. And our reading comes from the Reverend Julianne Lepp. We seek our place in the world and the answers to our heart's deep questions. As we seek, may our hearts be open to unexpected answers. May the light of our chalice remind us that this is a community of warmth, of wisdom, and welcoming of multiple truths.
Fletcher's going back away, even though we're going that direction. Following Fletcher, if you are a youth or adult involved in summer RE, going to make your way out to the Welcome Hall. You'll see Crystal out there, and you'll continue your service as you proceed with your activities for today. As we guide you in singing your song, you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love.
Next, we light our candle of compassion and resistance. In these times of disruption and anxiety, when cruelty is on display in our country, this flame is a reminder to bear witness to human decency, dignity, and freedom. By this light, let us remember that fear is outworked by hope, and that hatred is no match for the power of love. In the days to come, may this flame light our way forward with courage and with hope. Blessed be. It's not a metaphor. We come together each Sunday as a community with our hearts and minds, with joys and sorrows present among all of us. I have two to share with you this morning. Our Justice and Equity team is delighted to say that over 100 people participated in the Check the Pulse survey about welcoming and belonging. And they thank all of you who submitted your answers to that survey for helping us work towards justice and equity. And you'll be hearing more about those results in the months to come. Pamela Chestick is sharing with us the sadness that her brother lost the love of his life in May. She was a joyous, caring person who helped her brother achieve a happy, normal life after a harm-filled childhood. The good that comes from this loss, Pamela tells us, is that it brought her brother back into her life so that they can be with each other again. We send our love and blessings to Pamela and her brother. I'm going to switch to the lavalier, Joe. So we're doing our question box service today, and every year I always get a question about prayer. Do I pray? What does prayer mean? So I thought I would answer it during our time of prayer, and then we can be together in having a prayer together. Every Sunday, we do share a prayer together in a variety of ways. So for those among us that are not theists or don't have a sense of a greater spirit, petitionary prayer, which is the most well-known form of prayer where you ask for something, is not necessarily an option. And so people feel like if they don't have a God sense that they could ask for something, that prayer has no role in their life. But there are many, many forms of prayer. And for me, I sit in my garden in the mornings early, and my prayer is resonating with the world around me, with the beautiful earth, with nature, with the sky, with the sun. I believe that I am a part of that, but I lose sight of that connection. And so sitting there and just taking it all in and breathing it in is the form of prayer that I choose to do every morning. You may have a prayer that connects you to something bigger when you go to the ocean or a forest. You don't have to have any words. You just have to take in that spirit. But there's also a powerful form of prayer that I use as well. This is called centering prayer. And this is where you pick words that you say to yourself, repeat it to yourself like a mantra. So the metta of Buddhist meditation, may all be well, may all be peaceful and at ease, it's a form of centering prayer. But the simplest centering prayer is just one phrase. And it could be, may my heart be open to love today. I mean, that's a beautiful sentiment, right? It could be a prayer, may this person who's hurt feel safe today. It could be anything you want. You can change it up. But you just sit with that mantra, with that phrase, and you just repeat it over and over again in your mind, and you try to bring kind thoughts or loving thoughts or healing thoughts, whatever thoughts fit the words, to yourself or wherever that's going. So I'm gonna offer us a couple of minutes of silence, and I'm gonna encourage you that you find something that needs to be spoken for you now. I've made some suggestions. It could be, may the world be safe for all. Could be, may love triumph in our world, right? It could be all sorts of things, whatever you need. You probably already got a phrase in your mind right now. The first one that comes to you is usually the one that you need today. So let's just sit together, breathe together in silence for a minute, and center yourself with whatever words are on your heart and mind today. Blessed be. So I'm losing my voice, and I'm going to be talking a lot, so just bear with me. I may talk a little higher because it's easier on my voice.
So, as you know, this is our annual question box service where Reverend Lucy will answer your questions. And she's received several questions in advance, but also later in the service, those of us here in the sanctuary and those of us here on Zoom will have an opportunity to submit additional questions for her to answer. Our first round of questions will be randomly selected from those that we submitted in advance. She has reviewed these questions but does not know which ones will be asked. And any remaining questions at the end of the first round will be eligible for the second round. Let's begin.
This is petitionary prayer.
Janet asks, what books that you've read or music that you've sung have most influenced your personal and ministerial life, and why?
Oh my, I did read that one in advance. Well, I have to say Mozart C minor Mass. I'm a choral singer, and I've sung that several times, and it's like one of the most beautiful pieces of music. Those of you who heard my sermon about God, music equals God is and that song is like God singing. So if you like Mozart, if you like classical music, I encourage you to. But then I also have to say the Indigo Girls have been a huge, huge influence on me. So I'm a variable person. At my ordination, I sang an Indigo Girls song, the one that inspired me to go into the ministry. It's called Let It Be Me. So, and I've answered the book question before, and I'll just say it quickly. It was The Road Less Traveled by Scott Peck. I read it. I never would be a minister without that book. I read it when I was really struggling with who I was, and that book really changed my life. So I know it's old. It doesn't matter. It's fabulous.
We'll go a little deeper. So Courtney asks, do we have a responsibility to cultivate empathy for people that have caused us pain as part of our own healing process?
No. Oh, wait, it's actually more complicated than that. I think it's very important for you to understand where you are in your process. A lot of people rush to forgiveness or rush to empathy when they're not ready for it. You have to give honor to your hurt and your pain and your anger. And if you skip over that part, it doesn't matter what happens after that. You're carrying it in your gut, in your heart, in your body. So I do think that cultivating empathy can be helpful for your forgiveness process and your healing process, but it's not where you go first. You have to know yourself. You need to get it out, the pain, before you move to thinking about somebody else. That's my own personal experience. And I also think that empathy is part of the path to forgiveness, but forgiveness is not, in my experience, it's not something that, forgiveness is a form of grace. And I know for myself as a childhood abuse, I don't want to even, I guess survivor is the right word. My moment of forgiveness was an absolute moment of grace. I wasn't working on it, I wasn't thinking about it, and it just, my heart opened and the pain just flew out. So yes, empathy, but first take care of yourself. And I need some water.
Karen asks, besides the octopus, which was a wonderful sermon, do you have another spirit animal?
I'm sorry to be coughing into my microphone. Well, I actually have 7 spirit animals because I do this soul collage work where you meditate on which animal is in each of your chakras. And then I make a card for each of those animals. So I will tell you my animals. I'm not going to go into detail, but if you want to know, you can ask me at another time. So the first chakra, my animal, is a red snake. and it's coiled up, ready to be engaged as needed. The animal in my second chakra is a giraffe because it's got that wonderful embodied kind of energy to it. The solar plexus animal is a lion, my place of knowing and my place of courage. The animal for my heart chakra is a sea turtle because it's the energy of just flowing free and with ease. In my throat chakra, it's a crane. My third eye chakra is a crow, and I have the coolest card with this crow, looking really. And then my crown chakra is an octopus, of course. Who doesn't want to go around with an octopus on the top of their head? So I'm happy to talk with anybody about that process or those animals and what they mean to me if it's helpful.
There are 3.
Oh, is that round 1?
Yeah. Do you want
Oh,
to
did I do okay? Okay. No, we'll go. That's good.
So now it's your turn. What question would you like Reverend Lucy to answer? Is it about UU faith and belief, the meaning of life, or just the best donuts in Sacramento? You can ask her any question you choose, but she reserves the right not to answer any questions that are rude or intrusive. 1 question per person, and make sure to add your name because anonymous questions will not be answered. For those of you on Zoom, please put your questions in the chat box along with your name. For those of you who are here, there are pens and paper on the back table for you to write your question. Please make sure again to put your name on it and place it on the basket, which will be in the back. So we'll take some time now for you to submit your questions, and at the end of the music, we will collect the questions and prepare for round 2.
Okay, now it's my turn to ask you some questions. They won't be hard, I promise. So let's start with how long you've been hanging out at UUSS. Is there anybody here who's been hanging out here for 20 years or more? Wow, that's impressive. And how about 10 years or more? 10 years or more? Wow. And what about 2 years? Or at least 2 years, yeah. And how many people have only been coming, say, for 6 months? Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. And I'm curious, how many of you have been in a spiritual deepening circle or a soul matters group? Oh my gosh. No wonder we're such a wonderful congregation, because you guys learned how to listen. That really does my heart good. And those of you who haven't, we'll start up again in September, so look for the announcements about our small group program on our Soul Matters program. I see several of the facilitators out there as well. All right, now it's going to get harder. So I'm going to ask you to place yourself in one of 3 categories, and I'll define them. An atheist is someone who thinks that there's no God. It's not anything in your life. You've decided that there's not a God, however you define God. An agnostic is, well, I don't know. How would I know? I'm still searching. It's not clear. And a theist is, I have a concept of God. Now, I'm sure most of you don't have the gray-haired beard guy in the sky. You have some other form of spirit that is greater than any one human. So you would classify yourself as a theist in that. Okay, is everybody clear on the categories? And you're all going to complain that your category is not there, but do your best. Do your best. I'm not going to hold you to it, because there's a lot of you, and I'm just getting a sense. So how many of you would define yourself as a theist? Wow. And how many of you would define yourself as an atheist? And what about those in the agnostic group? Wow, it's kind of, the last time I asked this, it felt like a third, a third, a third. So that's wonderful. Yeah, that's rich. It's very rich. Yep. Okay, how many of you have a dog? Oh, wow. And how many of you have a cat? All right. And how many of you currently have no pets? Okay. All right. That's it. You guys are off the hook. Thank you so much.
Generosity is a spiritual practice. And our congregation has a practice of giving away half of every Sunday's offering to an organization that is working to make a difference in the world. Our partner for the month of June is Opening Doors. And today we are privileged to have the CEO of Opening Doors, Jessi Mabry, here with us. Jessi, could you stand? Thank you. So today at 12 o'clock in room 9, Jessi will give a presentation about Opening Doors and their work. Since 1993, Opening Doors has been supporting immigrants, refugees, and survivors of trafficking on their path to stability, self-sufficiency, and belonging. The journey of these immigrants coming to the United States is complicated, exhausting, and often dangerous. For many, they're not only leaving difficult circumstances, they face new challenges after they arrive. From financial to language barriers, bureaucratic to cultural barriers, the obstacles can be overwhelming. Opening Doors is here to ensure that all newcomers have the tools they need to thrive. Their goal of building a better life for themselves and their families is inspiring and should be met with compassion and support. What it means to be a neighbor is to receive people with open hearts, open minds, and open arms. Thank you for your generosity to UUSS and to Opening Doors. This morning's offering will now be given and received. So there is another way that we can help opening doors. Just a reminder about the diaper drive that ends this Friday, so you can bring diapers here to UUSS to drop off. So as the greeters bring forward our offerings, please join me as we accept these gifts in our unison response. May generosity bless our world, and may gratitude nourish our spirits.
Stunned by the theology of that Monty Python song. There's a whole sermon in that.
So now we will answer some more questions. I'll pick from the basket.
Oh, good, you're going to answer them too?
Sorry, yes.
You said we.
This is a fun day. Lucy's going to answer some questions that we have asked. Randomly.
I'll get you the iPad.
Okay, thanks. So Sashi asks, in a situation where you are helpless, what can you do as an individual apart from prayers?
Well, are you here? Could I see who wrote that? Hi. Well, helpless, like you're tied down to the railroad tracks and there's a train coming, or living in the United States today and not knowing what to do about it. So I'm going to answer it as living in the United States, and there's things happening in our national setting that we feel powerless and helpless to do anything about. Nobody's truly helpless except maybe that person tied to the railroad tracks, but even they have agency of voice and maneuvering and squirming. And so that's the answer. Nobody is without agency. And I've always encouraged people that I can't do anything about this bill that is going on now that is going to be horrible for our country, because I have 2 senators that are going to vote against it, right? So, and a senator in Iowa is not going to listen to me from California, but I can do things locally that will make a difference. And the simplest things, by being kind, if you see people saying hurtful or hateful things, speaking up, having those moments of courage in your own life, finding a way in our community to make a difference. These are the little tendrils that come up. This is why we call it grassroots, right? So I would argue that nobody is truly helpless. And there are always ways that you can make a difference.
Lynn asks, is evil a balance to love as light is to dark and heat is to cold in the universe?
I don't want to think about evil and good as a binary. I think that gets us into trouble. Because then we're saying those are all the evil people and these are all the good people. So even heat, all of them are a spectrum, right? The things that she named, light to dark, is a spectrum. It's not either light or dark. There's a spectrum. And evil is, to me, is not a force that is out there in the universe that, like a devil that threads its way into our lives. There are aspects of human nature that are drawn to things that ultimately can become evil, that we take actions that can ultimately be evil. So that's where our values come in, is to find a way to live in the world and really pay attention to our reactions. For those of you who were at our On Tyranny book group last week, know that these signs, we get entrapped into things and are doing things that are on the evil spectrum without even realizing it. So being aware is really critical. So no, I don't think evil and good are like that, because I don't buy into the binary, and I think it's all a spectrum. And I think there's possibility for evil in every human.
Okay, I'm going to go to the chat. Okay. So Anne asks, perhaps this relates to the empathy question. I've always had a hard time with the adage to love thine enemy. After the Sacramento Gay Men and Women's Chorus, Everyone Say Love show last night, I wondered how they, a severely damaged and ostracized group, could be so loving and thought maybe I should change my attitude. How does one do that?
Can you read that to me again?
I've always had a hard time with the adage to love thine enemy. After the Sacramento Gay Men and Women's Chorus, Everyone Say Love show last night, I wondered how they, as a severely damaged and ostracized group, could be so loving and thought maybe I should change my attitude. How does one do that?
Well, first of all, I have to say that people in the gay men's chorus are not ostracized and hurt. They're not damaged, they're thriving. And frankly, the people that have had to live with resilience in this world are doing better than liberal white people who always had privilege and now are going, what? I'm not the one who gets to say what happens around here? So that's my visceral reaction to that. But I respond to the question that, well, Jesus said that. And Jesus was like the most radical dude on this planet, frankly. And so he's asking us just to open our hearts to the humanness of people that do terrible things. And again, as I answered in the question beforehand, you're not going to get right to love, but if you can open your heart on the spectrum of evil, that not everybody is totally evil, it's their acts that are evil, not their basic humanity, then there's room to open up your heart to that possibility. I mean, this is the perfect question about polarization in our country. We're really into those people who voted for Trump are immoral. And that's not going to be helping us at all. Because a lot of them are just like us. They're people who want safety, they've been manipulated, or they have really strong religious values in a certain way, but they're not bad or evil. And we're not going to be helped by putting them in a box that says they're immoral and evil. So that's a very different answer to the question, but that's where I went with it. Oh, thank you.
It's anonymous, so we won't answer it. Liam, I think, is asking, is progress a journey or a destination?
Wow, who is Liam? Where's Liam?
I think it's...
Hi, Liam. Thanks for asking a question. Is progress a journey or a destination? Well, obviously it's a journey. So I'm going to go interesting places with this. So if I don't get it right, Liam, I'll give you a chance to tell me I need to redo it. So this is part of our world right now. We had this idea that, like Star Trek, right? Star Trek, everybody gets along except for that one or two groups that are problems that aren't. Everyone's evolved. Everything is settled. We bought into that big time. That's the eschatology of liberal Christians and Unitarian Universalism, that we're just moving. The arc of the universe is bending towards justice. So I don't see progress as a journey that gets us to a final place. I think we're learning that now, right? Maybe if you take the super long view like the Hindus do of, 200 million years, we're in a negative cycle in Hindu thinking of, like 200 million years of, maybe they have a destination of nirvana. But for UUs, and I think for most liberal-minded and liberal Christians and Unitarian Universalism, we're learning that it's an up and down road. There's resets, there's moving forward. Right now we're taking a couple of steps back. Maybe we're taking giant steps back. It doesn't mean that we won't move forward at other times. So it's definitely a journey and not a destination. Did I do okay, Liam? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. You tell us if you've already answered this. Robert asks, when you pray, are you asking for divine intervention, or is it more like a wish or thanking the universe?
Yes.
Bess asks, what's your favorite kind of pie? And can we have more services that include pie?
Who asked that? Raise your hand.
Bess.
Oh, hey, Bess. What's my favorite kind of pie? Oh, that's so tough. Maybe key lime. It's just so good. I haven't eaten sugar in a couple of years. I'm really off sugar, but I would eat key lime pie. A tiny, tiny little bit, and probably my blood sugar would go off the roof. But can we have services with more pie? I'm going to challenge our worship associates that are present here to come up with more pie option services. That was you, Robert, right, with the prayer question? Okay.
Simone asks, what part of your faith helps you grieve someone who has passed on?
Where's Simone? Oh, there you are. Hi. Thanks for asking a question. What part of my faith? Well, this is kind of a question about what I believe happens after we die. It's kind of hard to separate that. And I believe we just go back to where we came from. We become part of the greater energies of the universe. So that's actually comforting to me. And that when we're in this body and this time, we're just assuming this posture of who we are now in this time. So my father died last year in July. So we're coming around to a year. So the things in my faith that help me with that is that I think he's fine. I think he's probably doing better than I am. I think his energies are just out there. Whether there's any consciousness or not, I have no idea. So that kind of helps me. I know when I was a hospital chaplain, I dealt with people who had dying relatives who were not saved, and they were incredibly anxious about them going to hell. And part of my support was to help them with that. And basically a universalist idea of, God's not going to send a wonderful man like your father to hell. So I think that, and the memories of him in my life are still with me, and that helps a lot with the grief. But as I say when I do memorial services, let's not pretend that death is less than what it is. It is separation. It is loss. And it's a part of life.
Jen asks a really important question. Star Trek or Star Wars, and why?
Okay, where's Jen? Yeah, I knew that was you. Well, all right. So I'm a late boomer, not a late bloomer, but a late boomer. The latter part of the baby boomer. And speaking of my father, I remember watching the first Star Trek with my father, and I just have the fondest memories of that. That first Star Trek was so cool, even though it was incredibly stupid, and their costumes were just silly and ridiculous. We didn't think so when that show came out. So I was not in the right age frame when Star Wars came out. So Star Trek. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we got a couple more minutes. Unless it's hard, then we're done.
Duncan asks, what is your "you have to try this place" restaurant?
Oh. Hi, Duncan. Oh my, that's actually a very hard question. I'd have to say Green's in San Francisco. It's a vegetarian restaurant. And you'll go there and you'll say, I have never tasted a carrot until this moment in my life. So it's a revelation. So that would be we go there for all our special occasions like anniversaries and things like that. Yeah. These are too easy, Jenny.
Sorry. Okay, it's a lot of pressure. Okay. Meg asks, what do you need from us to sustain and enhance your best ministry?
Is that you, Meg? Thank you, Meg. That's a lovely question. Lovely question. I think I need a little grace and forgiveness. You know, those of you who worked with me in leadership roles know that, sometimes I get a little stressed. And when I get a little stressed, I might not be the nicest person on the planet. I really am the nicest person on the planet, except in those particular moments. So I think a little grace. And then, I've had people come to me and say, but I asked you a question and you were a little terse with me and I wanted you to know that you hurt my feelings. And that is just so loving to do that. Because then I can say, oh my gosh, I never meant that. Thank you for telling me. So I would love a little grace and a little recognition that I got a lot of balls in the air almost all the time. Actually, I have fewer balls in the air right now than I normally do. So a little grace and recognition that sometimes I may not bring my best self to any particular situation. Let's do one more because I'm having fun.
Okay. Anonymous. Also anonymous, but it's good. Okay, I think it's either Ellie or Eli. How do you balance pushing yourself to do better with self-care?
Who asked that?
Ellie?
Hi, thank you. Well, I gave a sermon a while ago on the meaning of life, and I said the meaning of life was just to be, and to be present, and to be engaged. So I don't even want to use the word pushing. Pulling might be a good word, because the world is pulling us right now. So self-care is the absolute groundswell, the grounding of resilience. If we're going to be resilient, and we have to be, or we'll be in the fetal position under the bed, right? Self-care is the absolute base, absolutely required. Just to be a functioning human in this country right now, you need to have really serious self-care. I'm not a fan of pushing. I'm a fan of answering a call. We talked about this in the non-tyranny or the On Tyranny book. The idea of being as courageous as you can. And that's in those, when you see an opportunity to be courageous and you just meet that opportunity. So self-care, critical, not into pushing, more into answering the call of the world when you see how what you have to give and what the need is match, and having the courage to step into that place. And then we're done. Thank you.
In exploration of great questions, we can summarize some of it with this next hymn. We laugh, we cry. We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of
Please join me in speaking these words together as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but we carry the light, love, and commitment of this gathering into the days to come.
Thank you for all of your questions, and I will read all of them. Some I might even give you an answer, but they will feed my sermons for the coming year because it tells me what's on your heart and what things you're struggling with that you would like an answer. So I'm not going to wish you good answers. I'm going to wish you good questions. I'm going to wish you living into the questions, finding ways to connect, to commit, to be in this world, to say why and how and when and who, and live fully into whatever comes your way and offers you a question that you might be able to answer. Blessed be. And let's